It's The Real News. I'm Aaron Maté. We're continuing with Norman Finkelstein, author of many books, including his latest, Gaza, An Inquest into Its Martyrdom. And we're talking about the Great March of Return in Gaza.
We're coming up on something that can be really horrendous because it's been Netanyahu's practice of always looking for some sort of diversion before he carries out a massacre. And now all the pieces have unfortunately, regrettably, tragically fallen into place. May 12th, Trump backs out of the Iran deal. May 15th, the people of Gaza has set as the date to try en masse to breach the prison gate. All the attention now is focused on Iran. There are now serious concerns about the conflict between Israel and Iran escalating to the point of no return. And it's a real possibility. Whatever you think of Syed Nasrallah, the head of the Hezbollah, he's a very shrewd political analyst, and he's not at all given to scaremongering and fear-mongering. But the last month he said, he didn't say probably, but he said there is a real possibility that the region is heading towards war. There is a real possibility. He's not said that ever before. And so we're heading towards a cataclysm. And then if the cataclysm actually is realized, or even if there's a gradual escalation, a massacre in Gaza on May 15th will be a footnote. It'll be in the news cycle for about 5 hours. Israel killed 500 Palestinians in Gaza. It'll be about 5 hours. It'll be more or less the equivalent of the Rabiah Square massacre that brought Sisi to power
In Egypt.
He killed, estimates are minimum about 1,000, maybe closer to 2,000. It was forgotten.
This was after Sisi orchestrated a coup, overthrew Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood supporters rallied.
Totally nonviolent civil resistance. They set up camps. There wasn't a gun.
There wasn't a single. Not that it justifies a massacre, but the narrative we hear is that some of the Muslim Brotherhood.
No. The Human Rights Watch put out a very extensive report a year after.
That's another story that we don't want to get sidetracked into.
But it'll be a footnote. They'll kill 500 people, maybe more. Honestly, I did some video conferences with the people in Gaza. And I talked about this about 2 months ago. I said there is a real problem. It was just when the possibility of a war with Iran was being talked about 2 months ago. And one of the fellow who's now recognized as the one who was inspired with the idea of the Great March of Return, he was among those in the Skype conference. And he did ask me, I was struck by the question. He said, if a war does break out, do you think we should continue? So it must have been less than a couple months ago. It had to be like 5 weeks ago. He said, do you think we should continue? And it stopped me short. I thought about it. And I said, no. I know it will look like a loss of nerve. It will look like all talk and no action. But I think don't do it. So by some strange concatenation of events, it happened. Everything which we were just speculating about, it actually came to be. Right now, all the headlines are in Iran. Again, Israel killed large numbers of Iranians and Syrians. I think it was about 16 or so, 23 Iranians and 5 Syrians. It's the second time they targeted the Iranians. The first time, about 2 weeks ago, Nasrallah said, he kept saying, it's a big historical mistake. They made a very big mistake. And of course that caused me to, I won't say tremble, but it caused me to think deeply. He was talking about war. And now they did it again. They did it again. So the situation is so charged that Israel will just mow down the Palestinians on May 15th. So I'm hoping, look, one of the strange things about Gandhi's doctrine of nonviolence is, if you ever read his writings, it almost reads like a cult of death. He keeps saying, you gotta get yourself killed. You gotta get yourself killed. He said, if you're not willing to get yourself killed, don't be involved in my movement. I'm not interested. You gotta get yourself killed. So, one of the paradoxes of Gandhi is, you gotta have mass killing to move people.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you're going to, put your life on the line, expire, then you still have to choose the time. So at least it will move a public. And I think if they choose now, it'll be in the headlines for 5 hours. And then everyone will go back to Iran. Because Netanyahu, he's a monster, of course. He's one of the most repellent characters, on the world stage, among many repellent characters. But he's smart enough, because Netanyahu is fundamentally, he's not a politician. He's a showman. He's a showman. It's all theater for him. He'll mow down 500, 1,000 Palestinians, and then he will send some planes into Syria to kill more Iranians and get the whole thing shifted. And he's very good at stage managing. So he knows all they have to do is kill 500, 1,000 Palestinians. Yes, there'll be all sorts of outcry. And then all they have to do then is bomb Syria one more time, target some Iranians, and all the cameras will be riveted right back, and Gaza will be forgotten.
And amazingly, he'll bomb Syria, and even though Israel will be the first to strike, when Syrians fire back, the headlines will say, when Syrians fire back and then when Israel fires back against them, the headlines here will report it as some sort of Israeli retaliation. So as we wrap, Norman...
So I would say they shouldn't do it.
Gazans should not march at this point with the world focused on Iran and Syria.
Hey, I lived a good life. I'll never tell anyone to give up their life. But if you're going to give it up, it's not the right time. I think you have to bide your time until the right moment. And this is whether contrived or coincidence, whether it was contrived or it was coincidence, it's not the right moment.
We have to leave it there. My guest has been Norman Finkelstein, author of many books, including his latest, Gaza, An Inquest into Its Martyrdom. Norman, thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for joining us on The Real News.